Hi, it's Kaz here from Everyday Property Investing, and today we've got a look at a cash flow positive property in Chinchilla in Queensland. It's a bit of a case study I was doing over at our other website, propertyzest.com.au, and I wanted to share it with the Everyday Property Investing community because I thought it was a good exercise. It's looking at the Queensland area, which is known as the Surat Basin. And that's a very popular mining town area at the moment. Chinchilla is a location within that Surat Basin area. So it's about 300 kilometres northwest of Brisbane, and there's about 5,500 people who live there according to the most recent census report. There's been quite a bit of growth in terms of residents and interest in the area, obviously due to mining projects in the area. Before mining, agriculture was the main industry, but obviously with all of the coal mining, coal seam gas and big time liquefied natural gas projects going on in the region, Chinchilla has really sparked a lot of interest from investors. So in this sample case study, the idea is that I've taken a property from Chinchilla and we're going to look at it from a number of aspects and think about how it would make a good investment in our portfolio and things that we could potentially do to it to improve the value of it in our portfolio or the cash flow. So in this circumstance, the property, it's a 3-bedroom weatherboard, and it's about 5 minutes from sort of the main park services area of Chinchilla. It's a corner block, about 933 square metres, and they're asking $365,000 for it, with a rental appraisal of $460 per week unfurnished. Now, furnished properties in the mining town areas can be a good thing, can get you a higher yield because people are looking for the furnished properties. And based on the standard figures that we're just looking at, the $365K purchase price, $460K rent, we're looking about a yield of 6.5%. So this means that the property would be slightly negatively geared, about 60, 70 bucks a week if we assume that we're borrowing 100%, that we're in the higher tax bracket of 38%, and we've got an interest rate of about 7%. However, if we consider trying to look at ways to maximise the existing dwelling, and then even perhaps add other dwellings, we could really change what this property does for us in our portfolio. So if you are going to look at doing things in terms of, possibly subdividing or putting new dwellings on, things like that, we always obviously need to go and contact the local council, find out what rules and regulations are in the area. And the other thing to look for in this region is flooding zones, because it was affected by floods in the recent sort of Queensland floods of late, and you want to just make sure that you're not sitting smack bang in the bottom, in the lowest point of Chinchilla. It may impact upon, obviously, your insurance costs, and also potentially, if there is a flood, it could impact upon your property. So let's look at the first scenario. We just got the existing house. It's currently a 3-bedroom, but they do say that there's a second living room or a study. Let's look at if we turn that into a bedroom and then we furnish the place and rented it out. So it's now 4-bedroom, fully furnished home. Let's say that we get a higher rental yield now, about of $600 per week, and let's say it costs us about $5,000 to do the renovation and furnishings. Our yield would end up being about 8.5%. So we're looking at sort of more neutrally geared now, maybe slightly positive. If you believe that there'll be capital growth in the area, or you're going to hold on to the property and look at adding on things to it later, this could be a reasonable investment. But if we look at maybe converting that second study living area into a bedroom and then adding another dwelling to the property, things start to get a bit more interesting. So let's say we've spent $5,000 converting our study into a room. We're now adding on a property which is, say, a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom, because in those mining town locations, you're often getting people up there by themselves, and they like to have their own sort of separate ensuite, and they're sharing houses with other workers in the mines and things like that. So let's put in a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. Let's say it's going to cost us $225K to build it, another $20K or so in additional bits and pieces for permits and such. And our new property is renting out at $700 a week. Our existing one is $600 a week, and now we've got a yield of about 11.4%. We'll be earning around about $12,000 a year coming in from this property. Now that's looking a lot more appealing. It's good to have positive cash flow, obviously, and that's a great example. But let's say we could do even more with this property and you had the potential to add on a duplex. So now you're looking at having, in total, 3 dwellings. You've got your existing home. We've converted that study living area into another bedroom. So we've got the 4-bedroom house that is existing. We've now got 2 3-bedroom duplexes. And if we think of our build cost was $450K, our purchase cost was $365 for the initial home, another $5K for renovations, another $20K for costs. Let's say we're renting out the existing home at $600, the 2 duplexes at $700. This gives us a higher yield again of about 12.5%. We're earning $425K a week, or about $22,000 a year. Now that's pretty good. That's, I mean, surely you can't sneeze at $22,000 a year. So that's just a little way of, or a little example of how we can look at a property and determine what are the possible things we can do with it. Now, of course, to build a duplex, you need a bit of money in order to do that. So it may not be a viable project for you. Maybe you might say, well, I can afford to build one dwelling and that's $12,000 positive cash flow, so I'm happy with that. But it's always good to look at the property and look at how you could maximise its potential, and then whether you could afford to do the project or not, and whether it suits your portfolio. So there you go. It's always good to try and obtain the best outcome and ensuring that you can fund the project at the same time. Hope you enjoyed this case study. Thanks.